Alright, so it's the next day. The brisket's been dry brining, and we're on to steps 4 and 5. And really, they're kind of almost, you can group these into one step. We're going to redust the brisket, and we're going to put it on the grill at 235 degrees. I've already dusted this half of the brisket, the top half, and we're going to re-season it the other side. Just use a good old grill of beef rub here. Nothing complicated. Alright, so you put a good coat on, you're going to come back in 2 hours for the next step, which is basically just checking in on the brisket and checking the color. You'll notice when I dry brine this, I did use a pan and a wire rack so I can have some air circulation underneath. You can see the moisture in the pan that came out of that brisket, which is exactly what we're looking for. You know, that's exactly what dry brine does. See the smoke starting on the grill. So it's an awfully cold day here, so we're going to go back inside and let the grill do its work. Again, 235 for 2 hours, so we're going to come back and check. Alright, so we're back. It's been 2 hours. We got a real nice tight shot here because I want you to see exactly what the brisket looks like at about the 2 hour point. The meat's going to be at about, I'm guessing, about 130 degrees. So we don't really have to do anything, but we're just going to take a look at it and go, okay, well, you know, does it need anything, right? This is a pretty thin flat coming in right here. So I think what I'm going to do is just turn the point around this way. Just to ensure we don't completely, you know, kill that flat. Here, load it up on our pan here. What I'm also going to do is just flip it over and re-season the other side because this side looks pretty good. Looks like it's got plenty of bark. So handy dandy super spatula will roll this guy right over. There we go. Now you can see this side probably needs a little re-seasoning, so it's a great time to do it. That's why we check it at about the 2 hour mark. We're basically going to ignore this again for about 2 hours. And when we come back, the temperature is probably going to be in the 160s, and we'll check it then. Alright, so we're back. It's been 4 hours, so brisket's been on. The flat is running right about 160. The point's running about 180. It's exactly what we expected. Now, here's the time where you got to make some decisions. So let's get in here and look at this thing, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I don't worry about the temperature that this brisket's at as much as I worry about does it have the bark I want, the color I want, and it's got a good bark. And so this is where you decide, you just let it ride, don't wrap it at all, wrap it in butcher paper or wrap it in foil. Well, I wrap mine in foil 99% of the time. I have butcher's paper, there's nothing wrong with butcher's paper. But people will say they use butcher's paper because it doesn't mess up the bark, but it does. And my thing is, if you're not going to leave it unwrapped so you have the best bark, you may as well just wrap with foil and save all your juice. Again, if you prefer butcher's paper, wrap with whatever you want. Back today, what we're going to use to make it easy, because you know it's going to be tough for me to wrap this and control the camera, I'm just using an aluminum pan and sealing the top with foil. Now, most of the time I won't use a pan because to me it delays cooking a little bit. You got kind of a heat sink here. But today's all about easy. It's Sunday, we're chilling out. I just want a good eating brisket. So I'm going to put the brisket right in here. The key is make sure it's really sealed. Now whether you just use foil alone or you use a pan or whatever, the key is getting that good seal so you can get that brisket ultra tender and keep it ultra juicy, okay? So just be cognizant of that. When I wrap my briskets, I always use 2 layers of foil. That's just a habit because I poked through so many times. You know, let out all that beautiful au jus ends up in my bucket down on the end. So you don't want to do that. So just use double layer thick good foil or paper or whatever you use, or a pan to wrap. So we've obviously made the decision to wrap today. We're gonna get the brisket in here, and then we're going to put our secret topping on top, and I'll talk about that. And we'll seal it back up and get it back on there. So let's do that now. right in there. Let's re-season just a little bit. And then we're going to come along with our Kitchen Accomplished product. I really like this concentrated beef broth. Let's get it on there and get this back on. And I'll tell you why I really like it. As you can see, it's pretty thick. It's going to make some beautiful, beautiful au jus here in a minute once the brisket's done cooking. Let's get it sealed up. Again, tight as you can. Don't want that to leak. Get it right back over. We're going to crank up the grill to 275. And we're going to let that thing roll. And now listen, don't be surprised if it's done in about an hour, okay? Once you seal one up and it's already running 160s, 180s, depending on how big it is, it's going to be done pretty quick. So once we've sealed it up, put it back on, I crank the grill to 275. I check it about every 30 minutes, all right? Now let's talk about our Kitchen Accomplished product. I'm a big fan of this stuff. Ben Wilson turned me on to it. It is beef broth concentrate. I like this because I don't use so much liquid in the wrap that it basically makes the brisket taste like pot roast. So, but it gives, you know, all that au jus or all that beef fat and stuff that's going to render out. It mixes with this and makes a beautiful, beautiful tasting au jus that I love. Once I make my slices of my brisket, I lay them in that beautiful liquid, and man, you can't. Listen, I know you guys that love the bark are all about it, but I'm gonna tell you, use this. It's extra moisture, that extra flavor. You don't miss that bark that much, I'll be honest with you. And your brisket ends up taking you 6-7 hours total instead of taking 14, 16, 18. So it's just my process. So again, we got it wrapped up. It's at 275. We'll come back and check it in about 30 minutes. Alright, we've had our brisket wrapped for about an hour. It's been about 45 minutes or so. Then I think we're going to be cruising into about the right temperature. But let's talk about a couple things for your checking the temperature of your brisket. Number one, obviously if you wrap this thing up, you're not going to completely unwrap it to check it. You're going to use a nice probe like a ThermoWorks, Thermopop, or Thermopin. You can use certainly use the probe that comes with your grill. Nothing wrong with that, and leave it in there. Alright, so we know our brisket's done. Now what's the next step? You gotta halt the cooking process. There's nothing worse than having a perfectly tender brisket now, and then you go to hold it for a little bit, and you come back and it's shoe leather. And what happens is the brisket will continue to cook because it's so hot in that wrap. To halt the cooking process, you're going to vent it, and you just want to pop open a corner, let some of that heat out for about a minute, and then it will be time to rest it. So let's talk about the rest. If you don't have a Cambro, I have to keep one on the cooking porch here. A cooler is great. You know, you can put it inside of an oven that's off, and that'll be fine. I do that plenty of time. In fact, I'll probably do that with this one. I was going to take it inside. It's a real cold day out here, so I'll take it inside. Just put the whole pan in the oven and just let it rest. Just let it take it easy for an hour or two before we slice it. Alright, so we're coming out of the step number 11, which is the rest. We're all rested up. It's beautifully nice and juicy. I've went ahead and separated the point from the flat. I know my green's running this way, so that means my slices are going this way. So let's get in here and see how we did. So got the trusty slicing knife here. This is my personal favorite, the Dahlstrong Shogun Scimitar or butcher's knife, breaking knife. It has a lot of names, but I actually prefer it for my slicing knife over a lot of others. Let's get in here. Now, I'm not going to slice this how I normally would, so don't, you know, argue with my technique. I'm usually standing up at a counter, but I wanted to show you guys how we get this done. One of the things I do is just start kind of taking the slices off the corner here until I get them to a length that I want, you know, good sandwich length. And then what I do is come back in and I'll divide those up a little bit. You can see, I mean, even on the short slices, listen, if your short slice does that, you probably did okay on the cooking process, you know. They didn't do bad there. This method definitely works. I can actually almost push the knife down and through. Watch it. Boom. I mean, I'm slicing them pretty thick, and that's still plenty nice, plenty nice. So we'll do one or two more like that. Boom, down and through. Can't argue, can't argue. Now what I do with these slices, as they come off, remember all that beautiful au jus we made? That fat mixed with that the beef broth concentrate, it's right here in this pan, and it tastes phenomenal. So I love to soak those slices right in that. Now I told you what I do once I get to about a length I want to make it more manageable. I'll just kind of bisect it. I'll set a piece off to the side here. Let me do this how I normally do, which is right-handed. Once you get to the edges, you'll notice that it gets real hard to slice. That's okay. You can chunk those edges up into almost kind of full burn ends. Like this piece here is going to tear away. I mean, that's a crying shame for that to tear away like that, just mush apart. So, I mean, we don't want anybody have to eat that, do we? Well, that'd be terrible, horrible. Brisket's got a great flavor. Nice and beefy. Everything a brisket should be, but doesn't taste in any way pot roast like. I hate it when a brisket tastes like pot roast. Just raw. Alright, come on this end. This is where that belly of that knife, that curve, really works in your favor here. Now, if you did the math on this, this is only about a 5-hour cook time. Then we had about an hour and a half hold, so 6.5 hours start to finish. I mean, it's pretty good brisket. Now, can you make better brisket? Sure you can. You can let it go for 18 hours and burn a bunch of pellets and all that good stuff. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you prefer, but this is my steps to repeatedly good brisket that, believe me, you can make money with it. I sell these day in and day out. Have people begging me to make them. Every time I fire the grill, hey, you make me a brisket, you know, and it's all because that right there. I mean, look, that's the very end now, and you can see plenty of moisture, plenty of tenderness. Hey, there's nothing wrong with this brisket. So if you haven't tried this method, I'd say definitely give it consideration anyway. Let's bring our old friend the flat or the point in here. Now you can see that beautiful dark brown au jus that's on there. Bring it. Point almost always runs this way. I've seldom had them run up this way. It almost always runs side to side. So I typically will cut it in half and then start. If I were going to make burnt ends out of this, is where I would make my squares. Like I'd take this piece specifically, kind of line up and make perfect 1-inch squares. I'll be honest with you, I really like the point just to eat. I mean, just a little more fatty. When you cook it right, hey now, that to me is just as good as a flat any day of the week. If you treat it right, it slices just right. People talk about that jiggly brisket. I mean, it's right here. We didn't get rid of that. People worried about their fat. You cut too much fat off of it. I can't believe you did that, etc., etc. Just know what you're doing. You're cooking a little hot, a little faster, you can get away with that. I mean, that's still a beautiful brisket. That's money. Alright. This is what I was talking about earlier in the video where people sliced it wrong. You'll see their videos, you'll see this grain running all the way through it. They sliced it wrong. No matter how well they cooked that, flip this over. So I got this mountain up here. No matter how well they cooked it, they blew it in that last step. It made it tough because they sliced it wrong. How do you know it's sliced right? Well, when you get up in here, look at that real close right there. See how you can see the individual like meat textures? They're right there. They're not uniform running this way. They're all segmented. And that's how you get that. It's all in paying attention. See, brisket is a game that is really a bunch of little things that add up to the big thing. It's not one thing that you're going to change that you do necessarily that makes it a successful cook or not. It's learning a bunch of stuff over the course of time that'll make you a better brisket cook. And that's why I like guys like Eddie Hanks out there. And he's cooking brisket all the time just to become better and better and better at it. He's learning through burning, right? Got to burn to learn. How many times have I said that? 100. This is one of my all-time favorite pieces right off the point. That little edge, got a little bark on there. Listen, that bark's still there, y'all. It's not dry and brittle. It's soft and succulent. Man, that's a good brisket. I'm so good I surprise myself sometimes. How about that? I mean, that's, ooh. Look at that. Look at that. Sheen coming off of it. I think that's just beautiful. That's what that is. And those flat pieces that we dropped in that OSU. Now put that right there on the sandwich. Tell me it wouldn't be good. That's good stuff right there. And that right there is step 12. How to cut it and eat and repeat, right? Now this isn't truly 12 steps. We could easily make this 8 or 9 steps, honestly, because a lot of these steps dovetail into one another. But I just like, 12 seemed like a good number, so we made it 12. Let's recap. So you've seen the first part of the video, you've now seen the second. We've got it all laid out for you. Let's just cover it again. Steps 1 through 12. Number 1, you got to trim it. What do I mean by trim it? Take all the hard waxy fat off, get rid of all the mass that you don't need. Getting rid of that mass allows you to have that 5.5 hour, 6 hour cook time, of actual cook time, okay? 2, dry brine. Re-salt that brisket. Now, I like putting a rack underneath my pan so I get good air movement. You don't have to plastic wrap it. You can just sit it in the fridge. You want air to move around that as much as possible. That dry brine really helps ensure some moisture in the meat, as you've seen. Number 3, once you've dry brined, you're going to rest it in the chill chest ice box, the cool cube, whatever you want to call it, at least 6 hours. I like overnight. A lot of times I'll trim my briskets at 5, 6 o'clock, salt them, and then I'm putting them on at about 6 o'clock the next morning if I've got to have them for about lunchtime. That method works for me. Number 4, as you're going to the pit with them, dust both sides with your rub. Turn your, again, you don't let that brisket sit out. It's cold. You go straight from the fridge to the grill, dust it on the grill. Put that, number 5, you're going to put that meat on the grill as cold as you can, which is what we're talking about. I set the grill at 235. That's just a temperature I like. You can go lower, you can go higher. 235, I think, gives plenty of smoke while marches the cook along plenty fast as well. Number 6, you're not going to open that lid. You're not going to think about it for 2 hours. Come back, look at your bark, dust it again. Number 7, come back in another 2 hours. So we're at 4 hours total cook time at this point. You're going to look at it, make a determination on whether you're wrapping or what you want to do with it. And you're going to redust it, hit it with a little more rub. Okay. If you're wrapping, that rub you're dusting it with is going to go right in the wrap. I like using that product. We'll throw it in the inset here. The Kitchen Accomplice beef broth, which is number 8, which is when you wrap. When you wrap, remember what we talked about. Seal it up good. Don't let it vent. If you're venting, you may as well just not wrap. Okay. Either seal it up good or don't wrap at all. This in between stuff, I don't think it works. Once you wrap it up, number 9, you can put it back on the grill. Raise your grill temp to about 275, and at that point, you can come back and check it every 30 minutes. You're going to be surprised how fast this brisket goes from about 165, 175, in the flat to done. I mean, I've had it happen as little as 30 minutes once I wrapped it. It just happens. Okay. On average, it's 45 minutes to an hour, though. Number 10. Once you've reached your target temp, vent the foil. Halt the cooking process, okay? Vent that foil out for a good minute or so until, if you'll see it, you'll see the au jus in that brisket just boiling. Vent it just until it stops boiling. Seal it back up. Put it in a nice warm place, okay? Or a place that's going to be warmish. It can be your oven. This is your step number 11, right? It could be your oven, it could be a Cambro, it could be a cooler, whatever, okay? You just want it to rest for at least an hour. I like an hour and a half. Personally, 2 hours. You'll find at that hour and a half marks about the time you can handle it anyway. That brisket was still warm, but it was in no way hot. But it's perfectly slicing serving temp. No problem there. So that's number 11. Number 12, watch when you're making those slices. You got to get them against the grain. Remember, we nicked that brisket so we know where our grain was running and where our cuts was going to be. So you know where that's going to be. Slice your brisket up right, eat it, and repeat it. That's it, guys. This is part 2. Glad you guys checked it out. I know part 1 got a lot of views. I appreciate that. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments below. Happy to help you. Feel free to ask whatever you got. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Shane D BBQ. You can find me. I'm always posting stuff. So I appreciate the likes, the thumbs up, and the comments, and all that happy fun stuff. So until next time, I'm Pitmaster Shane D.